Welcome to Steps and Stories, the podcast where we trace real career journeys and uncover the moments that shaped them. In our very first episode, we are joined by Shah, co-founder and CTO of Makajai, an edtech company helping kids discover the power of mathematics with their flagship product Monster Math. With 23 years in technology, from developer to Amazon engineer to a startup founder, Deep's story is full of valuable lessons, big shifts, and bold moves. If you are figuring out your own path or dreaming of building something impactful, this one's for you. Let's dive in.
Thank you so much, Amaya, and thanks for all the kind words. I don't know how much of it is like really, I deserve how much of it, I don't know. But yeah, thanks for the kind words, and I'm super delighted and grateful to be here.
So to start with, Deep, I would like to start asking you about your early career,
Right.
Your aspirations when you were a child, and did you always dream to be working in tech?
So actually, I was just like a normal child, and hadn't planned so much or anything like that. In my early career, I was never good at arts or even anything else. But I was decent at maths and science, so I figured like I can do something around that. And in the very early childhood, I always wanted to be like an astronaut. And then after some years, I didn't know like how to approach it, so I maybe changed my aspiration to becoming like a pilot. But then after a few years or something, right, I figured out that to get a commercial pilot license is very expensive. We could not afford it. So then I changed it to something else. And that is when I thought like, okay, I'm good at math, science, maybe engineering. And, in those areas, I mean, those years, there are only three things you could do actually if you are decent at math and science, right?
Yeah.
You can either do medicine, engineering, or BSc. And my father is like an entrepreneur running his own company. So if I could do BSc, then I could just sit in his company and run it basically. So, but then I thought like, okay, let's try. And eventually I got like decent marks that I could get admission in even medicine and engineering. But then, I mean, it was never planned. So I was never thinking that I will get that many marks that I can go to medicine. But then my father got very excited that, okay, now you've got it. So why don't you become like a doctor? But I held on to my ground and I said, okay, I am good at math. So let me just choose engineering. And that is how I ended up being like an engineer. And there also information technology was something I just chose because it was like very hot at that time, like, in 1998 and all.
Yeah.
It was one of the hottest thing. So that is how, and lucky for me, I ended up liking it. So that's how it was.
Yeah, and fantastic that you ended up liking it. In fact, you did so well that you were a gold medalist at Sardar Patel University in your
Yeah.
engineering and IT. So what drove you to this academic excellence?
So it's a very funny story if you think about it, right? My life can be divided into like a very, in before ninth standard and after ninth standard, it was a very drastic difference. Before ninth standard, what happened was I was very average, below average kind of a student, good at nothing actually, right? I was just leading my life without any ambition or direction, nothing was there. But then when I was in ninth standard, I had a very serious accident. Like I was driving a scooter and the Jeep hit me head on. So we had like a very serious accident. My entire right side was completely paralyzed in a way. Like I could not move my hand and stuff like that. I was bedridden for 6 months. And in those which means basically I could not do basic things, right? And I could not go anywhere, nothing. So that particular event, right, gave me time and opportunity to think about. I could see the suffering of my parents, like how they felt and how they are like going. I was the only child and everything. So I started valuing life a lot more. It made me realize that I should do something with it. Like, it has given me a second chance. It was so bad that my chances of survival were also pretty slim. So that is when I started putting in more effort. And with more effort, my grades improved. And, obviously I did well in 10th and then 12th. And once you start doing well, it becomes like a drug of a sort, right? You kind of keep putting in more effort and then you get better results. And that's how it panned out, actually. So that is how the academic success kind of panned out.
Wow, I mean, just hearing that feels so scary now. It
Yeah.
must be a terrible time for you and your family at that time. And kudos to you that you've come out from there so well. But I always feel deep that, when I look at my own career or when I look around, I feel that there is this switch that happens in
Right.
everybody's either in schooling, college, or their careers, where they suddenly realize a few things.
Right.
And this probably was a moment for you. It happened quite early in your, in your life,
Yeah.
when you were in the ninth standard. So many students today come and tell me that they don't know what to do in life, or they are just not sure, they are just not interested in something. And it's very difficult to give advice, but some of these life stories that you shared, can kind of bring some clarity that they have to be patient sometimes. Some things they have to take in perspective. There will be events that happen in your life,
Right.
which bring you closer to your calling, so to say.
Correct. Just one thing before we move on, right?
Yeah.
Like, although to the point that you mentioned, right? Like, people don't get their calling early on in life, but that is something that we should not get disheartened or anything by. I have so many friends who are not good academically, right? Who are below average. Some people who are with me engineering, they completed engineering 6 years instead of 4.
Yeah, yeah.
So they were not really good, but they still made like a good life out of it. Like, they ran successful companies and are doing really, really well. So the point here is that, yes, being good at academics does help. It gives you chances, but that is not the only thing. Like, what you make out of your life is not, you can only do it if you are good at academics. It is not like that.
Absolutely.
One failure or one, bad misstep does not define who you are. Like, it is something what you do in spite of those missteps is what will define who you are actually.
Absolutely. Very well said, Deep. Thank you. And I think this is a big lesson to take for our, viewers and listeners also.
Absolutely.
So, after engineering, I know you worked in some big name company. How did that all start? I mean, was there always a plan to, apply for and work in a MNC or big name company? What was the story over there?
Correct. So most of my life I have lived like in a flow, like how things unfold themselves. I've just went with it. There's a funny story for that as well. So I took admission in information technology back in 1998. So that time it was really, really hot, like I mentioned before. So that time it was at the top, right? And everyone was like, oh my God, IT is the future and whatnot. So even if someone introduces you, like, that, oh, he's in IT, and they will have like, oh my God, wow, that's so awesome. And then 911 happened. Okay. And then everything went south. Okay. So same people started introducing, oh my God, he's in IT. Like, what is he going to do with his life and all. So I saw going from very top to the very bottom. We were like me and some of my friends were campus recruited in MBT back in 2021, and we passed out in 2022. But, they didn't call. Nobody was calling. Nobody was giving any jobs. In fact, one of my friend went to like MBT and asked like, when are you going to give us a call? It's been like few months now. So he was taken to the top floor of the building and then showed like, okay, do you see these empty places? These are not people on holiday or vacation. They have been laid off, right? So don't expect anything. Like, just figure out what you want to do. So that is when, we realized like, okay, we have to do something. I had given GATE at that time for, doing MTech or something like that. And luckily GATE was one of the exams required to get into BARC. So I interviewed with BARC, Baba Atomic Research Center, and then luckily I got selected also. It was one of the toughest kind of interview I have faced so far. It is a really good experience, but it is also like a government organization, so it was a little bit slow for me and all. So I went there, did it for 3 months or so, and then at that time MBT again called us like, okay, you know what, we have this opening, there is a 3-month contract, you come, you perform, and then we'll see if it goes well, then we'll convert it into employment. It was kind of tricky because BARC is a government job, class 1 gazetted officer and whatnot, and then to go into a temporary job was something not everyone would do, but we still did it. Me and one of my friends did it together. And so we did, and we worked our, asses off, like, 3 months. We were like on the edge, like don't know what is going to happen. But then luckily they converted it into full-time employment. So that is how I landed, into the corporate really world. But in those period when we were in BARC and before MBT called us, I used to apply to, like, all the companies, like, in a daily I would send my resume to some 50 companies, that okay, kahin se to, call aa jaye, like, let's get a job. So, but yeah, it was a tough time. It taught us a lot of things, like, you have to be patient, you have to try hard. And that is how, the early part of that is how I landed my first couple of jobs.
So a big upheaval or kind of a series of changes in the early part of your career. How did your family react, and how was your so this decision of going from BARC to MBT itself is a big decision because both are very renowned organizations. And MBT was at that time, now Tech Mahindra was a very renowned organization. So was it your love for development or technology, or was it family pressure, or was it some advice from some uncle, or because one of your friends was doing that? Do you remember why this decision come about?
Yeah. So first thing is, like, I was very lucky, like, when it comes to family pressure and things, like my parents, because never pressured me to do anything specific, like, okay, you have to do this, you have to do that. So that was like a really big advantage, I would say, right? Not everyone has it, and I acknowledge it, and I was really lucky to have such parents. So, and like you said, right, leaving a government organization with a very safe sort of a future with class one gazetted officer, it is like a really tough call.
Yeah.
And my parents did say that, why do you want to do that? Like, you are in a safe place and everything for a thing that is not even certain. Like, 3 months only, right? If that didn't pan out, then you are nowhere, right? So, but then for me, BSc was great. It was like, the 3 months I spent there was like really, really good. I was going through training and stuff, and the professors there were like really, really smart, but it was a little bit slow for me. At the beginning of my career, I wanted it to be more involved. Like, you'll go inside the office at 8 and come back by 4, and then you are kind of free. I wanted something more happening, more challenging. Not challenging is not the right word, but more. I wanted to do more is what I feel. And in BRC offers a very steady career growth. Okay, after 2 years you'll become this, after 4 you'll. So it was a very, fixed path. I wanted something adventurous, I would say. Okay. So that is how it was like my call, and I am really grateful that my family supported it. Like, one more thing there is that it was not just a support, like moral support. In BRC, there was one thing where if I left before a year, right, I have to pay back whatever I have. We were getting like a stipend, right? Sure. So I had to pay back whatever they have paid me. Sure. So, and obviously I had already spent whatever they had paid me. So my family helped, my father helped me with paying back that money as well. So it was also monetary support. Yeah.
Excellent. With such adventures that you spoke about, come usually challenges. So I'm sure there were challenges in the early days of your first job, MBT, and in the first phase of your career. Can you describe a few challenges that our listeners can also expect when they get into their careers, especially in tech world?
Right.
And how did you overcome those?
Correct. So one of the foremost challenge was like complete uncertainty, right? Like we were given like a 3-month contract, and then in 3 months we had to, like basically prove that, okay, we are worth the job that they are going to offer, right? So everyone was on the edge. Like we were a group of 15, 20 people. Everyone was on edge. All of us worked really, really hard. Like we would stay in office till 2 a.m. and then go back home, sleep for some bit, and come back at 8. And we'll just put our heart and soul into the thing. So that was one of the toughest time, but that taught us a lot of things. Matlab, that is the one experience because of which I value the opportunity to work so much more. Like I have respect for someone giving, like I don't feel entitled. That is one of the biggest learning that I had from that period. And after those 3 months, when we put onto a project, so in the project, what happens is like I was the fresher, right? So I'm joining at the lowest kind of level, and everyone is more experienced than you around. So it is kind of like at that point you have to act like a sponge. You just absorb whatever is getting thrown at you, absorb and learn whatever, because everyone is more experienced. They know how to do stuff, and in that period, right? The one of the biggest challenges to show that okay, you are also capable of doing things, like earn the respect of people who you respect, correct? So there was one person in our team. He was called. His name was like Batman. Okay. So he was like the person to go to, and I used to respect him a lot. And he like, you take any problem and he will have like a solution. So you know, looking up to those people and then trying to do things that okay, they will also see that okay, he's someone to he can do stuff. Okay. So those are the things that I feel in the early career, that is the one thing that I went through, that how to earn respect of people I respect.
Sometimes just by observing somebody, you can get inspired.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes people can go and speak to them officially and ask them whether they'd be interested in kind of helping you in your career. And people nowadays, we call it networking, we call it
Right.
mentoring, right? Not always I feel that in early career we might use these terms, but it might happen. Like how you mentioned that I used to look up to this
Right.
person who was Batman. Yeah. But did you kind of take any official, or let's say any kind of formal support from a networking group or a mentor or something like that?
So here again, I feel I was really lucky to get to work. Like I switched companies and everything, and then I got to work with one of my friend. His Dhananjay, and he was really senior to me, like a lot senior. And then he was like had really good work ethics, like solid. Like he would be in office at 9 a.m. He would go, no matter what, like he will just stop the work and he will make sure everything is done. Like by 5:30 he's out of office, and then he'll do whatever he wants. Like I learned so much from him. Like, he was the one person who taught me that, okay, there is the work and life are two different things. Like work is work and life is something that happens after work. You should not club them. And, in those hours that he is in office, there's like no nonsense kind of behavior. And then he will just work and get things done. And it was really good. Like I learned so many things from him, including this solid work ethics kind of thing. And another important thing I learned from him was he was really good at coding. Like how to write really good code. I mean, what is good code called? Like and then how to write and how to set up the tool such that it forces you to write good code and all that. So those are so that is again where I learned what is good code and how to write it and all from him. Like so that is he was one of my early mentor without a doubt. Like I learned so many things from him. Yeah.
Excellent. Good to hear that, especially when you spoke about what is good code. So I'll take a slight diversion, because what's happening today in the whole world is that the whole AI revolution.
Yeah.
And there's this narrative, if I may so, saying that coding is now not required, or good coding. I mean, what is good coding? AI is going to do everything anyway.
Right.
So for our young audience today, what would be your advice? Should they learn coding? Should they think about what is good coding, or leave it to AI to do the coding?
Correct. So as of now, as of today, we also use AI significantly, like extensively in our and we make it write code. Like so for example, we use Cursor, ChatGPT, and everything. And then whenever we have a project to work on, we use those tools to write code. So these tools are really powerful. There is no doubt about it. They can write really good code, but where they lack is they will be at times overconfident. Okay, they will be like, okay, I'm done. Like but you need to have the ability, like as a young individual or as an engineer, you need to have the ability to review what they have done, what the AI has thrown at you, and then counter the AI that bro, you have done this, but this is not working. Can you fix it? And this is why it is not working. So then it will correct itself also, you know. But you need to be able to spot it. You need to be able to understand what is the mistake, and you need to be able to give feedback to AI to improve it. And then you can, and as a engineer, you need to understand what is good code called. Like, you know, AI will come up with something, but then it will also have repetition and all sorts of wrong naming convention and everything. But you need to know, like, okay, what I aspire as a good code, or what I aspire to become, and then give that feedback to AI, and then it will kind of do it for you. So long story short, I think learning how to do good coding is absolutely essential. But and using AI tools to get there, that is also absolutely essential today. There is no denying the fact that AI is already integral part of our writing code basically. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So people who are still studying or who are yet to start their first jobs going into the industry, it is not recommended to only use AI. It is recommended that you hone your skills, you make sure that your fundamentals are good,
Yeah.
and then you use AI with your fundamentals and make sure that the AI is doing what you want it to do.
Correct.
Rather than leave everything on AI is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, exactly. Leave everything on AI is not going to be. So, you know, AI can also teach you a lot of stuff. Like, okay, this is why my code is better and all. All that is great, but you need to also learn how to write good code. So yeah, absolutely.
This is a great lesson that our viewers are going to get today. So I remember one of these, one of the statements that my tech lead made a few days ago when we were, learning how to use AI, doing some prompt engineering, and he said that as individuals, you have all the answers now because of AI. You get each and every answer, but you need to be good at asking questions.
Yeah.
You need to know how to ask the right question, right, to get the best answer from AI. So that's the skill that now people need to really, hone or develop, is to how to ask the correct questions or how to ask the right questions. And I think you said something similar, is that you will be able to ask the right questions only if your fundamentals are good, only if you know what good code looks like. So that you can give this feedback to AI and you can get the best out of the AI. So one question that has been going on in my mind, because people ask me very regularly, should I do this certification? Should I do that certification? In your life, did you ever do a lot of certifications in your early career, and did they help you?
Right. So this happens a lot. Like, so in my early career, I did do SEJP and SCBCD, which are all Sun certified something, like basically on Java and around Java. So they did, and then I actually wanted to do Sun certified enterprise architect. But then I realized, like, it is not really making much of a difference it's not adding much to my resume, and it is not adding much to the work that I was doing at that time. So it basically, my thing would be, I mean, these certifications are good. You become better at the language, and you understand the nuances and all, but they have little to no impact on the on the work that you do, or or even it. I mean, in my opinion, it does not broaden the opportunities that you might have. So that is my view on it.
Yeah, I mean, if you really do the certification to learn something, it's one thing.
Right.
But I just read a LinkedIn post yesterday, and somebody wrote that, you know what, all of these things that every one of you, my network on LinkedIn, is writing, I know all of it because I have learned how to open a slide and click the next button, right? So most of people nowadays who do certifications or upskilling programs just go through the motions, right? I mean, how much of real learning comes from that is doubtful.
Correct. And in this age and time, certifications do not catch up as fast as the technology is really moving, right? You will have something, but that is already like few months old, and by few months old, it means it is not really going to help much. And like you said, right, if you're just doing the certification by clicking next, it's not going to help. If you really want to learn, then you have to get your hands dirty and think about it from beyond just clearing the certification exam. You need to understand how it is actually used, implemented, and stuff like that.
Absolutely. After your early career, I know one of your big milestones when we go through your LinkedIn is your stint at ThoughtWorks. How did that come about? I mean, was there anything else that you tried in between, or was that also a planned transition to ThoughtWorks? Because ThoughtWorks is a very well-known name.
Yes.
So how did that come about?
Yeah. So after MBT, I switched a few companies, and then me and Dhananjay were working in T-Systems. It's a company. It's a German company, right? T-Systems. It was the best, one of the best firms I have ever worked at. It was really nice. It was working at the edge of innovation. Like, in that time we had Android apps being built, and iOS was just coming up. So it was really, really nice. But then they took a call that, they will sell the India business, like the T-Systems, to Cognizant. Okay. And I did not want to work in like a big company with so many people and stuff like that. So I had thought like, okay, working in a small company is better for me, so that I can learn a lot of new things. And it is just, I felt I was better at working with small companies. So that is when I thought like, okay, it is now time to kind of move to some other place. And ThoughtWorks, like you said, is a big name. They were really good at their interviews were very famous. Like, you have to go through like a full day of interview, multiple rounds, and they were the ones who first started giving coding assignments as the first round and things like that. So I was very fascinated by them, and that is why I kind of applied and got through. So yeah, so that is how I went to ThoughtWorks.
Does any special project or experience comes to your mind that you had in ThoughtWorks which kind of influenced your career after that?
Oh yeah, so I'll answer that question in two parts. First is engineering excellence. So absolutely, there is no doubt about it. ThoughtWorks puts a lot of importance, gives a lot of importance to how do we write code, like, using the right patterns, writing the unit test. So that is something that has a lasting impact on me. Like, that, okay, writing good code, clean code, good naming conventions, and, single responsibilities, whatnot. So all of that, writing good object-oriented code and stuff like that. So it was really, really nice. Like, I loved, how the influence, how the importance was given to writing good code. And so that has had a lasting impact on me. Like, I've carried on and taken that learning to everywhere I went, and that has helped me significantly. Because writing good code might take marginally more time, but maintaining good code takes exponentially less time than maintaining bad code, right? So yeah, so that is one thing. And the second thing about a project that you remember. So yeah, I mean, there was one project that we used to work on. It was kind of like IRCTC, but not for India. So there was this client, and then we used to work on that project. It had a lot of legacy kind of systems. So we were trying to modernize it and stuff like that. So it had many problems at that time, and everyone was trying to make it better. And it was really like a big engineering. We had a big engineering team. So one of the biggest problem was how the source control was done. Like, we were using SVN at that time, and because there were so many engineers, everyone will try to push in their change, and then build will be broken, and then it will remain broken for 2-3 days, and then for those 2-3 days, nobody will be allowed to check in anything. So we'll have but the work is not stopping, right? The work is going on. So we have unchecked in code, like lots of it, and then if we have to share it and all, imagine the nightmare, right? We had to go through. So then that was like a big pain in us. So me and my friend Jamie, right? We came up with that time Git was coming, and then Git over SVN, we tried to figure out like a workflow that really helped us solve this issue. So we really liked it, and then we evangelized it to everyone around, and luckily everyone also started liking it and using it. At that time, one of the biggest challenge was the learning curve, because Git did not have very good UI clients and stuff like that, so we had to do a lot of things with command line. But then everyone did start using it and saw the benefit, and it really helped. And because we were evangelizing it so much, I even got a pet name like GitShah, like, instead of Deep Shah, GitShah. And that has stuck with me. Even I call my blog also gitshah.com. So that is really one of the things that have stuck around with me for a very long time. And yeah, and from that point on, obviously I've been using Git for everything.
Yeah.
So
Wow, fantastic. And I remember GitShah very well because when we met at SpiderLogic around 2010, this was right after your ThoughtWorks days,
okay.
probably. My first introduction to you was because of a version control system, and I was new at that time, and I had put in some code in Git which had messed up the repository a little bit, and then I met GitShah, who helped me to recover that code and taught me a few things about how to use Git properly. So I can definitely vouch for your Git credentials. Not that I need to vouch for your credentials, but your blog was pretty popular those days, GitShah, and I think now you've taken up writing a lot more on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Do you still maintain your blog? Do you still update it?
Yeah, so it is kind of like I mean, writing is kind of does not come naturally to me. Like I have to put in effort to actually write something and make it happen. So it has always been, I started off with writing like 4 articles in a month, which was very time consuming for me. So I dial it down to one per month and things like that. So now I'm like kind of like on a very dialed down version of it, like just one article a month is what I kind of try to write. Yeah.
But those are really insightful articles, so I'm going to recommend and request all my users, listeners over here, to make sure that they follow Deep on LinkedIn and read his articles. They are very inspirational. I have learned so much by just reading your articles, and now that we are speaking more in person, I hope to learn a lot more from you.
Thanks for that.
But for the next small kind of career transition that you had, and very fortunate for a lot of us, including me, is that you came in SpiderLogic, and you were a technical architect at SpiderLogic, so probably from the more uh, developer-centric roles to a little bit more architecture, leadership kind of roles that you were playing at SpiderLogic. And I know at SpiderLogic you led some really large programs and projects over there. So, and you were always known at SpiderLogic as a super techie architect. That's how I got to know you because I joined after you. How did this transition come about, and how did that experience at SpiderLogic, which was a relatively smallish firm as compared to ThoughtWorks, although a great firm in terms of its culture, its tech, and everything that we've experienced over there. So, first of all, why did you make that decision to join a smallish firm after ThoughtWorks? And second of all, the whole Spider experience, can you talk a little bit about it? How did it shape you?
Yeah, absolutely. So from ThoughtWorks, again, I think at that time, like after 1.5, 2 years at a company, right? I feel like I'm missing something. Like I need to find something more exciting, right? So that is when I started looking out, and then Spider was again like a very small sort of a company. So I really liked working at these small places where there are 30, 50 people. It gives more ownership, and I just like being around. So that is when I decided that I will kind of join Spider, and it was again luckily a very good decision. Like I owe a lot of success, lot of whatever has happened in my life to Spider, really, because that is where when I joined, right, I had so many more experienced people compared to where I was, right. So I learned so much more from them, like Himanshu, Tina, Paresh, Irfan, and so much Imran. I mean, I'm super grateful that they were around at that time, and I could absorb so many things from them. So that was really like a good opportunity, and that's why I kind of stayed in Spider for a very long period. Like compared to like Makajai, which is like 10 years old now, Spider is the only place where I've stayed more than 5 years, right? So that speaks a lot. And second most important thing I learned in Spider was from my manager Gautam, right? His dear friend. So there again, like that was the first time I sort of learned or saw how you can build a culture based on trust and openness, and you can be the manager who expects excellence from your people and still is not hated by the people who is managing, right? So that was something really like I admire truly in his ability, like how he did it, and that has again, had a huge impact on me, and that has helped me even, how to deal with people and everyone, how to work with everyone at Makajai also. So that is one of the biggest learning. And again, after a few years, you joined, so that like we connected really well. And then I met Rupesh also, my partner at Spider. So in a way, Spider has played a really big role in shaping my journey, so to say. As far as technical architect is concerned, like it was nice. Like I mean, the role was called technical architect, but I was doing 100% coding all the time. And then yes, we had more responsibilities, like to shape like the product that or project that we were working on and all, and that was really good. Having said that, we were not in complete ownership of making all the decisions that okay, if you want to use this, you can. We had to obviously talk to the clients, get approval from them, and then use it. And luckily, the clients were also very, understanding. But they had the bigger context, and they were calling the shots, obviously. So we had a lot of fun in that. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. I can't agree more about what you said about SpiderLogic, especially with the culture, the way Gautam had kind of created that whole ecosystem.
Right.
And there were many other great folks that you named. And I had a similar experience at Spider. So we recounted so many steps of your career. Your next step was a really big one. How did you make that decision? Was it very easy? And for most people, it would be like, you get a job in Amazon, and it's like, you cannot say no. I mean, you just have
Right.
to do it, right? Or any of the FAANG companies. So what was it for you? I mean, how did that come about?
Yeah. So at that time, right, I was really comfortable at Spider, like really. And when I get really comfortable at a place, right, it starts to become scary. Like because I feel very uneasy if I'm very comfortable at a place, right? Everything was going on well. I had a good repo, and the projects were fine and everything. So I needed to do something different, right? And then getting into one of the man companies, one of was like really nice for me. Like I felt like okay, validated in a way, right? Okay, I can clear the man interview, and then I can work for them, sort of. It wasn't easy though. Like the decision was very very tough for me for so many reasons. Like and to be very honest, I rejected the first offer that they made. Like I'm not joining. And then eventually things changed, and then I went with it. But at that time, it was very tough because I was at such a nice settled place. Leaving so many brilliant colleagues behind, and going to a different company, starting from zero again. Whenever you join a new company, you have to kind of start from zero. You have to build the rapport again. You have to interact with your new team, and then build the trust again. So it is kind of like a phase that you go through, and it is not easy. Uh, but at the same time, I also wanted to see like, okay, what else is there? Like, okay, like in Spider, I got to meet so many nice folks. Can I improve from there? Like, can I meet even better folks at Amazon? So that was one of the thoughts. Secondly, it was
That didn't happen.
yeah, I mean, no, I mean, in a way, like I keep saying everyone that people at man companies don't have horns. So, they are just like normal people, right? It is just, they are all smart, yes. But, it is not like if you are at some place and then you're working with smart people, then the other place will have 10x smarter people. It's not like that, right?
Yes.
So that is how it was. And secondly, it was also tough because at that time, we were expecting like a child, and then we had to switch to a new city and all. So it was like a mixed bag of sorts. Excitement that okay, you're going to like a man company, and then but at the same time a lot of nervousness of change of location, and then a lot of uncertainty. My wife was also working at that time. Well, she's still working. So, but then how will she kind of continue and stuff like that? So yeah, so it was kind of like a tough call.
So a lot of personal tough decisions.
Yeah.
And I'm sure at the same time, getting into a new company, creating that whole rapport again. and also working on mission critical, kind of systems, highly scalable systems. And there must be a lot of learning, I'm sure, right? Must also be in very high pressure situation. How was it to deal with a completely new culture in a new city with so much of personal upheaval happening?
Yeah, absolutely. It was challenging. There is no doubt about it. Like we were going through a lot of personal changes at this. Like we were new parents, and then like change of place is a big
Yeah.
thing, especially because we had recently renovated our apartment here in Pune, and then leaving all of that and then going to a rented place. It was like a little bit of a shock.
Yeah.
But then we went through it because the opportunity was like really
Yeah.
good. I really wanted to work for a big man sort of a company, and then it does help. I mean, you learn a lot of new things. There is no doubt about it. Like in the first year or so when I was there, I learned how to build like scalable systems that don't need any manual intervention to scale to bigger traffic needs and stuff like that. That again has stayed with me for a for entire career, where even in Makajai we implement those patterns basically to make sure that even when we are sleeping, the server is not going down basically, right? So that has really helped. And more than that, I think Amazon has a really strong leadership sort of principles, and some of the principles like customer obsession, ownership, and then disagree but commit and things like that has stayed with me for my career, and then those have even helped us build Makajai in a certain way. So that is the my experience at Amazon. It was
super great to know. Other than this, is there the other part of life that is also important? I mean, that people may call today work-life balance. The other part of your areas of your life, like your personal life, I know you have a passion for trekking and traveling. How did you pursue that? Was it even very difficult, or did it start after your Amazon days or before that?
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, right? Dhananjay was the person really where I start understanding, and that was really early in my career, right? Then that is when I started understanding that life is not work, and work is not life, right? There is work that you do which is necessary. You should do it passionately, but there is also kind of life that you need to enjoy. Like if you wait for like a big event to happen in your life and then you think, oh, after 40 I will start enjoying, then that is not happening, because your family has moved on, they have made other choices and things like that. So it is really important to understand that while you work passionately, and you there will be times when you have to work really hard, and it'll be like 16 hours days and stuff like that, but at the same time you should develop the other part of your life where you are there for your family, you are there with them. And this became really, I mean, I was always mindful of this a little bit because of this early experience, but then this became really strong during COVID. Like, because we were all at home and all, we as a family started spending time together, like, okay, having lunch, dinner together, going for a walks together, and in general, those little things that you don't usually get to do, right? Not just me, my wife, and my child, but also my parents. Like we were so lucky that we got to spend 2 years of our time, all of us together in under one roof. So that was like again like a reinforcement of the fact that okay, you know what, you need to be able to enjoy life. You need to make sure that you are there for the loved ones as well. You can't just keep on working, or you can't just keep on postponing those kind of goals that you have in life. And as far as traveling and trekking is concerned, like I really feel like travel is like a must have for everyone. Like it just kind of recharges me like nothing else. Like you know, uh, I just love every aspect of it. Like starting from planning to execution to post the travel what has happened. So when you're planning, there is a lot of uncertainty. Like okay, how is it going? You can imagine like okay, we'll do this, but then until that happens, there are always uncertain. But then knowing that okay, this is how we will do it and this how, So it just energizes me. And then reading about places, having different experiences, meeting people, all of this is like a highlight for me from like the travels. And we kind of did the travels. We were lucky again that we were able to do this travel. Some of them happened because of our companies, like so again, very fortunate to have those opportunities. But then when the opportunities appeared, we did grab them. Like so that was for example, my wife had got an opportunity to go to France for 2 weeks, and then I followed her, and then we did like a 2 weeks holiday in Europe. So things like that. Very early in our career, we did a lot of travel, and that helped us build a lot of perspective that okay, world is so much bigger and so many things to see and look out for. You build like friends at the most unexpected places, like like for example in Germany there is one of my friend, we're very close still. So it is like a really good experience that recharges us from the daily, the routine life. So I definitely look forward to traveling. And there's one important thing I keep telling everyone, that a lot of people consider travel as expense. I think of them as investments. Like, you spend money, yes, but you kind of invest that money for gaining that experience, life experience, and then you reap the benefits for so many years to come, right? You keep talking about the travels, you keep mentioning, oh, we did this. After a few years also you will see the photos, and then your mind will refresh with the memories that fill in, right? So for me, it is kind of like a investment that yields exponential returns. So that's
Awesome, awesome,
yeah.
awesome. Such an important lesson, I think, for everyone, that while you are kind of pursuing your career, it is important to have rich experiences around your career,
Right.
so that you recharge yourself, so that you feel motivated to come back and work with the same zeal and enthusiasm.
Okay.
And like you said, kind of this kind of an investment in your experiences around your career can have a rich and disproportionate impact also on your career and your life.
Absolutely.
So we've traced a lot of your journey now, where you were working for other companies. So I want to conclude the first part, Deep, with this, and in the next part of our interaction, I want to go a little bit deeper into the entrepreneurial journey and experiences that you had in the last 10 years, a very important part of your career. As well as I would like to pick your brains more about your mindset. What have you done around your career to kind of keep yourself, motivated and inspired on this journey? Because I know the entrepreneurial journey has its own big challenges,
Right.
which can seem to be really really tough, big mountains to climb. So that's going to be the next part. So I hope our viewers have also enjoyed this interaction with Deep in his first part. So thank you, Deep, but talk to you after the break.
Absolutely. My pleasure. It was fun having this conversation.